سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين وألحقنا بعبادك الصالحين آمين يا رب العالمين. We stopped on page number 69 on our kitab Atharus Sunan. Those brothers that are listening, inshallah, please try to come forward. We'll encourage others inshallah. So we stopped on page number 69 on the Babul Hayd. Just before we go to Babul Hayd, I wanted to repeat this previous hadith on the authority of Aisha. وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إني لا أحل المسجد لحائض ولا جنوب رواه أبو داود وآخرون وصححه ابن خزيمة. This hadith is authenticated by Ibn Khuzaymah, one of the great scholars of hadith. Imam Abu Dawud reports this hadith as well on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha. So the hadith states on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha that I do not allow women to go to the masjid in their state of menstruation. In the state of menstruation, they are not allowed to enter the masjid hall. Please understand this, because a lot of the committees in many of the masjids, they neglect this. A woman who is in haid must not enter the masjid area where the prayer mat is. If a woman enters there, then it is prohibited. This is not just according to one person or two persons. This is according to all four madhabs. All four madhabs. A woman who is in the state of menstrual period, her monthly period, she is not allowed to enter the masjid. This is a clear hadith from Rasulullah on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha. It is narrated in Abu Dawud and it is authenticated وصححه ابن خزيمة. So let's start inshallah. باب الحيض. عن معاذة قالت سألت عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها سألت عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها فقلت ما بال الحائض تقضي الصوم ولا تقضي الصلاة فقالت أحرورية أنت؟ قلت لست بحرورية ولكني أسأل. قالت يصيبنا ذلك فنؤمر بقضاء الصوم ولا نؤمر بقضاء الصلاة. رواه الجماعة. This hadith is in Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. All 6 books have it. All 6 books have this hadith. It's on the authority of Mu'adha. She says, I asked Aisha about a query, about something. What is the reason for a woman in her menstruation? She does not make up salahs, but she makes up fasting. She doesn't make up salahs after her menstruation period finishes, but she has to make up her fasting. Then Aisha radiallahu anha said, are you a haruri? A haruri is referring to basically a khawarij, an extremist, someone who's extreme. She said, no, I'm not a haruri, but I'm only asking in order just to know, basically. So she said, whenever we were afflicted, we were ordered to. So this is the answer. Whenever we were afflicted with menstruation periods, we were ordered to, meaning from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to make up the fasts, and we were ordered to not make up the salahs. So it's an order from the Sharia. Here we know it's an order from the Sharia that when a woman is in the state of haid, she is not able to, number one, she is not able to pray. She is not able to fast in that state. She is not allowed to fast. She is not allowed to pray in that state. She can make her du'as, that's completely permissible. But to pray salah is not allowed. Likewise, to fast in the state of menstruation, it is not allowed. But after menstruation finishes, she has to make up the qada fasts of Ramadan. This is only referring to Ramadan fasts. This is not referring to Nafal fasts. Okay? This is referring to fasts of Ramadan she has to make up. So for example, 6, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days of Ramadan, she was in her menstrual period. Those 10 days, those 8 days, she has to make up after Ramadan. Anytime throughout the year before the next Ramadan comes, ideally, she has to make up those fasts. Those who haven't fasted all throughout the years and haven't kept their qadas, they should calculate how many years they haven't fasted. Unfortunately, if that happens, in that case, they have to calculate approximately how many years they missed their fasts of Ramadan, and they have to calculate it and put together that amount and make those as qada. Okay, just like salah. Just like salah. If a person didn't pray salah for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, because he was in his own jahiliyyah, he was in his own period of ignorance, it happens to many people, unfortunately, that many people go astray for many years. And they come back after years and years and years. In that instance as well, they have to make up their fasting as well as they have to make up their salahs. Okay, they have to make up their salahs. Qada salah is a debt to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you missed it at the correct timing, but it doesn't mean you miss it totally. Okay, you have to give that debt to Allah. That repayment you have to give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala back before you pass away. If you don't pass away before that, then you have to leave some money in order to give to the poor for each and every single salah. Okay, that's extremely important. So the answer here is we were ordered to make up qada of fasts, but not make up the qada of salahs. Because if a woman were to, for example, she had 1 week period. In 1 week, there's 35 salahs, fard salahs, yes? In fact, for us, it's more than that, because you have to include the witr salah, because witr salah is wajib. Wajib is the same as fard. So she has to make up all the wajibs as well. So that's 42 salahs in 1 week. Imagine she has to make up 42 salahs, it's going to be difficult upon her. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for her. Whereas fasting is something which she can make up, especially in the winter. It's very easy to make qada of fasts. And alhamdulillah, now short days are very nice. Long nights, you can pray, you can make your ibadah, you can make your tilawah, you can make your tahajjud. It's easy, very easy. Whereas fasting is extremely easy as well. So they used to look, many of the Sahaba used to look forward towards these days, because they could pray Qiyamul Layl, long nights of Qiyamul Layl, and they could fast during the day very easily. So these are opportunities that we must never miss. Okay. وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه في حديث له قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أليس إذا حاضت لم تصلي ولم تصم رواه الشيخان. This hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, isn't it the case that when she is in her menstrual period, she does not pray or fast? Okay, she does not pray or fast. She's not allowed to do these two things. The next hadith we go on to, inshallah. وَعَنْ عَلْقَمَةَ. There's not much kalam on these hadiths, because these hadiths are agreed upon by all the scholars. Okay, these hadiths are agreed upon by all four madhabs and all the scholars. Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, all of them agree upon these hadiths. These are hadiths of ahkam. These are hadiths regarding rulings, laws, regulations. وعن علقمة عن أمه مولاة عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها أم المؤمنين أنها قالت كان النساء يبعثن إلى عائشة رضي الله عنها بالدرجة فيها الكرسف فيه الصفرة من دم الحيضة يسألنها عن الصلاة فتقول لهن لا تعجلن حتى ترين القصة البيضاء تريد بذلك الطهر من الحيضة. رواه مالك وعبد الرزاق بإسناد صحيح والبخاري تعليقا. Imam Bukhari narrates this hadith ta'liqan. What is ta'liq? Mu'allaq. In hadith, you'll come across this word mu'allaq. Mu'allaq means when a hadith is hanging. Literal meaning is hanging. What does hanging mean? It means, let's say Imam Bukhari says, Qala Mujahid. Imam Mujahid, we know he's a tabi'i. He's not even a sahabi. He says, Imam Mujahid says without a sanad. Now, we know that Imam Bukhari never met Imam Mujahid. Imam Mujahid is from the caliber of the Tabi'een, whereas Imam Bukhari is 3-4 generations after that. So when he says Qala Mujahid, this without a sanad, directly Qala Mujahid, then in that case, this hadith is known as a mu'allaq hadith. And Bukhari does this very often in his Bukhari, in his Sahih al-Bukhari. So he says Qala ibn Abbas. Like Qala ibn Abbas, there's no sanad, there's nothing. How could you say just Qala ibn Abbas? Because according to the hadith scholars, you need to give your sanad. You can't just say Qala ibn Abbas. Because you never met Ibn Abbas. You're not the student of Ibn Abbas. You have to give your full chain to Ibn Abbas. Or it can also be Qala Rasulullah. He also says Qala Rasulullah. But many of the times I've seen that Imam Bukhari, he says Qala Mujahid, or Qala Ikrima, or Qala Ata ibn Abi Rabah, or Ata al-Khurasani, many of the others. Qala Sufyan. All those are commonly mentioned in, and hadiths as well. There's approximately over 100 ta'liq hadith which are attributed to Rasulullah. It says Qala Rasulullah without the sanad in Bukhari Sharif. Okay, these are extremely important for hadith, students of hadith to know, inshallah. So this hadith is narrated as, but one thing is the hadiths that Imam Bukhari narrates as mu'allaq, when he says directly without the sanad as Qala Rasulullah, this is not according to his level of criteria in Sahih, in authentication. Okay? This is not according to his level of criteria that he chose for his actual book. All the hadiths that are with the sanad, those are according to his criteria. The hadiths that are mu'allaq are not according to his criteria. That's why the hadiths that are mu'allaq, the ulama, they debated about them. Some of them are authentic, some of them are less authentic. Not that it's not authentic, it's less authentic. You can say so, yeah, some can be weak as well. But of course it's a mu'allaq hadith. Here, what's the hadith? The hadith is on the authority of Allamah. Now Allamah, Imam Malik, the narration that he narrates, he says, on the authority from Allamah, he narrated from his father, from his mother. Allamah, he narrated from his father, then his mother. Imagine, look at the preciseness of how they protected even one single hadith and its narration. So in this hadith, we say Alqama and Ummihi directly. Alqama from his mother. He directly narrated from his mother. This is one narration. Whereas the narration in Muwatta, it says Alqama narrated from his father. There's a middle link in between. Now, many people will say, what's the point of this? The point of this is preservation. The point of this is the precise preservation of hadith literature. Okay? The clear, precise protection of hadith literature. So Alqama narrated from his father, from his mother, then from Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. That women used to basically send balls of cotton with different types of what do you call discharges. So maybe like yellow color or something close to at the end nearing their period, because they were not sure that if their period finished or not. So she would tell them that don't rush to start praying and to start fasting until you see the cotton to be completely white. Complete meaning completely invisible and like water. Okay, so when it comes to that stage, then make sure you make your ghusl and you start praying and you start fasting. Okay, this is the only time when you are allowed to, when you know that you're 100% out of your haid. So even when it's yellow, when it's slightly murky, when it's orangish, they're still inside the period of haid. They are not allowed to come out just to have a shower and to come out of haid. They are not allowed in that case. Khair, inshallah. We go on to the next chapter. The next chapter is regarding istihada. Istihada, we said, is blood that flows, that is other than that is other than postnatal bleeding, which is after childbirth, or is other than the menstrual period. Some women might bleed for no reason, just for 1 day, 2 days. Now we know haid is a minimum of 3 days to up to 10 days. Minimum of 3 days, maximum of 10 days. It can't be more than 10 days and it can't be less than 3 days. This is our hukum according to the Hanafi madhab. So, استحاضة. وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت: جاءت فاطمة بنت أبي حبيش إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت: يا رسول الله إني امرأة أستحاض فلا أطهر أفأدع الصلاة؟ فقال: لا، إنما ذلك عرق وليس بالحيضة، فإذا أقبلت الحيضة فدعي الصلاة، وإذا أدبرت فاغسلي عنك الدم وصلي. رواه الشيخان. وفي رواية للبخاري: ولكن دعي الصلاة قدر الأيام التي كنت تحيضين فيها ثم اغتسلي وصلي. This hadith is in Bukhari. Both Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim narrate this. It's on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha as well, that Fatima, the daughter of Abi Hubaysh, she came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and she said, I am a woman who has continuous bleed. Continuous bleed. Let's translate it like that so it's easier to understand. I bleed continuously all the time. And I never become pure, meaning it never comes out just white all the time. It's always bleeding. Shall I leave salah totally all the time? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, that is a vein that leaks. But you know when your haid comes. Your haid is different because it gushes forth severely. So when those days come when you're gushing forth severely, those days are your days of haid, and you are not. I know these topics, yeah. So sometimes a person might think like, why are we learning this? As men, you need to know this because this is going to happen to your brother. This is going to happen to your sisters. This is going to happen to your mothers. This is going to happen to your wives. This is going to happen to your daughters. So this is more important for us to know than them as well. Okay, they need to know this more, of course. But as men as well, we have to learn this chapter. This chapter is extremely, extremely important. Not only is it part of our deen, but it gets us out of our ignorance of who they are as mothers, what they go through on a monthly basis. Okay? We are not made the same. Boys and girls are not made the same. Men and women are not made the same. So therefore, our Sharia gives us guidance of how rules can be applied from Hadith directly. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, that's a vein that keeps on letting blood flow with your discharge. So when the days of haid comes, leave salah and leave fasting. When the days of salah comes, leave salah. But when it finishes, make ghusl and start fasting and praying again. Start fasting and praying again. So the days that you're in your haid, basically, the days that you're in your istihada, when you're bleeding lightly, okay, and it's not your haid days, not your days that you are gushing forth, then on those days, just make wudu and pray. Make wudu and pray. For every single salah, if she's a ma'dur, then you have to do it every single salah time. Or else, a person, she will have to make her fasts up and not make her salahs up. Next, وعنها قالت إن فاطمة بنت أبي حبيش أتت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت يا رسول الله إني أستحاض الشهر والشهرين. Subhanallah. In this hadith, he makes it more clear. This Fatima, the daughter of Abi Hubaysh, she comes to Rasulullah and she says, I go through bleeding on a constant basis for months and months. The way we'd say for months and months. Sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months in a row, sometimes more than that. فَقَالَ لَيْسَ ذَلِكَ بِحَيْدٍ. That's not your haid. That's not your menstrual period. That's not your monthly period. وَلَكِنَّهُ عِرْقٌ. But that's a vein. That's a vein that keeps on discharging some blood here and there. فَإِذَا أَقْبَلَ الْحَيْضُ فَدَعِي الصَّلَاةِ. When haid comes, then stop praying salah. عدد أيامك التي كنت تحيضين, according to the days that you are in your haid. فإذا أدبرت فاغتسلي. When it goes away, meaning when your days of haid are finished, when your days of haid, we said out from 3 to 10. Anything above the 10, automatically start making your ghusl and praying and fasting again. فاغتسلي وتوضئي لكل صلاة. Here, this is the dalil that the Hanafis take for a ma'dhur, for a person who is continuously bleeding all day, all night. A person is continuously having a nosebleed. A person is continuously having a urine drop continuously. Or, for example, his pus is coming out or his blood is coming out continuously from any spot of the body. In that case, if it's continuously all the time coming out, then this is the hukum of ma'dhur, a person who is excused. A person who is excused. What does he do? At the beginning of every single salah time, he just renews his wudu, because the hukum, according to the Sharia, according to our Hanafi madhab understanding, is that the moment the time finishes of one waqt, of one's waqt, so a ma'dhur, a person who's excused. For example, a person would only be considered ma'dhur if a whole prayer time passes, let's say from Asr to Maghrib, and that udhr, that reason, that excuse, for example, the nosebleed, is there. And it's continuously bleeding to the point that the person didn't even have 10 minutes to make wudu, pray salah, come and pray salah within that time period. Let's say 10 minutes, average 10 minutes, 5 minutes wudu, 5 minutes salah. If he didn't even find 10 minutes, but it continued bleeding and urine dropping, for example, when a person is in the hospital, and the urine is continuously dropping and dropping, he's with the urine bag, then in that case, and it's continuously dropping all the time, without even finding 10 minutes in between, then that person is considered a ma'dhur. According to the Sharia, he has to pray with the udhr. He has to pray with that valid excuse. So, from there on, after that one salah time, so from Maghrib to Isha and Isha to Fajr, he only needs that excuse once, not all the time. So that excuse was only from one prayer to another prayer time. So for example, we said Asr to Maghrib. So Asr to Maghrib, he was continuously bleeding without even a 10-minute rest. So after Maghrib, now he's considered a complete ma'dhur. Okay, he has to only, by the time Maghrib, Asr Salah ends, Maghrib time, he just needs to make one wudu, even with the blood coming out, even with the urine coming out. He has to make one wudu for Maghrib, and he can pray as much as he wants until Isha, until the time of Maghrib ends. Okay, and likewise after Isha until the time of, so he has to renew his wudu. The time Maghrib ends, he has to renew his wudu at the beginning of Isha, and then he can pray as much as he wants all night, even with the urine coming out, even with the blood coming out. Okay, this person is called a ma'dhur, and this is the dalil. This is the dalil of ma'dhur of the Hanafi madhab. Okay, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, فَإِذَا أَدْبَرَتْ, and when your haid goes away, فَاغْتَسِلِي وَتَوَضَّئِ, make ghusl and make wudu for every single salah. Make wudu for every single salah. This hadith is in Ibn Hibban and his transmission is sahih. The next hadith, وعنها, because many people question it. When you go through fiqh books, generally they don't give you the evidences there. So here when you see the hadith, like, oh, that's why our fiqh book, Nurul Iba says this, Quduri says this, Hidayah says this, Kanzul Daqaif says this, Sharhul Wiqaya says this. Okay, now you understand why, because you've got the hadith in front of you. This is the reason why. وَتَوَضَّئِ لِكُلِّ صَلَاةٍ, make wudu for every single salah. وَعَنْهَا قَالَتْ سُئِلَ, so this is again from Aisha radiallahu anha, سُئِلَ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن المستحاضة فقال تدع الصلاة أيام أقرائها. This is another dalil for the Hanafis. Look very carefully. This is normally discussed in usulul fiqh. We say quru. ثلاثة quru, a woman has to wait for 3 months. Now, after a woman is given divorce, she waits for 3, according to Hanafis, it's menstrual periods. According to the Shafi'is, it is the clear period where she's pure, the pure period. Now, how can it be? How can you translate this? So let's translate this first. وعنها, this is the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. Rasulullah was asked about someone who is continuously bleeding, a woman who is continuously bleeding in her bleeding state. Chronic menstrual bleeding. I wouldn't translate it as menstrual. It's not menstrual. Okay. So chronic bleeding. You could just say chronic bleeding. فَقَالَتْ تَدَعِ الصَّلَاةَ. She leaves salah on the days of her aqra. Aqra. What's aqra? Qur'un. Okay. On the days of her, the only way you can translate qur here is if it's hayd. Why would you leave salah on your days which are pure? Would you leave salah on the days that is pure? Here Rasulullah specifically uses this word. Qur'un, aqra'un is the plural. Aqra'u. Yeah? Aqra'iha. So she leaves the salah on the days of her qur, the menstrual periods. That's the only way you can translate this hadith. There's no way that you can take this in the meaning of purity. So Imam Shafi'i would be questionable here according to his understanding of what qur is. Okay, because in usul, they don't explain to you this way. They don't explain to you from the hadith point of view. They only explain according to usul. That this is our usul. This is how we understand things. But when you see the hadith in front of you and you think, oh, how can Imam Shafi'i take this understanding? It doesn't make sense. It totally doesn't. What would he understand aqra here in the meaning of? Do you understand? He can't translate this as the days of purity, they have to leave salah. He would never say that. He would never ever say that. Whereas he can say, look, in this hadith maybe it refers to hayd, but in the Quran it refers to maybe. That's his ijtihad. He's Imam Shafi'i. He's a mujtahid, mutlaq. He's not to be questioned. Okay? But here in this hadith he has to admit that qur refers to hayd and not tuhur. Has to. Hands down, he has to submit. ثُمَّ تَغْتَسِلُ غُسْلًا وَاحِدًا. This is Hanafis, right? You know, when you learn hadith properly, then you understand what Hanafis are. Many people, they think Hanafis are against hadith. This is complete misconception. Because they're ignorant of hadith, this is why they claim such things. The biggest ignorance are the ones that say Imam Abu Hanifa didn't have hadith, Imam Abu Hanifa didn't understand hadith. This is what they claim. This is what they claim. Imagine the jahalat of such kalam. Imagine the ignorance that makes apparent in such words. Astaghfirullah. تغتسل غسلا واحدا ثم تتوضأ عند كل صلاة. So, in a woman in the state of constant bleeding, what does she do? She leaves salah on the days of her hayd and she makes ghusl after her hayd finishes, after the 10 days completes, and thereafter she must perform wudu for every single salah and do her ibadah, do whatever ibadah she wants. Rawahu Ibn Hibban wa isnaduhu sahihun. This is narrated in Ibn Hibban and the sanad is sahih. Khair, inshallah. Now we go on to abwab al-wudu. This is now easy territories, okay? This is not women. Women folk is always difficult. Now we go on to easier territories, inshallah. Abwab al-wudu, the chapter of wudu. Babu siwak. Siwak, unfortunately, there's people out there, there's sheikhs out there. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, one of the revered sheikhs in Saudi once upon a time before he passed away. Yeah? Even now they revere him extremely. Ibn Uthaymeen, he says, this is the problem with illah. You know, people, they become too usuli. They become too usuli, and I have a very big problem with that. Very big problem with that. Why? Because they start taking out the reasonings why the Sharia is like that. Now, sometimes the reasoning is one, sometimes the reasoning is two, sometimes the reasoning is three, sometimes the reasoning is uncomprehendable. We just have to submit because it's the Sharia. Like Aisha radiallahu anha said, we were ordered to, simple as. We were ordered to make up the fasts. We were not ordered to make up the salahs in the days of hayd, after the days of hayd. Likewise, there's many things which are sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it remains sunnah until the day of judgment. And you can see the reason why. These hadiths are authenticated of the highest caliber. In fact, a lot of the ulama said this hadith is mutawatir. This hadith is mutawatir. Mutawatir is the highest form of hadith. Mass transmission from every single generation. The hadith is of siwak. Now, there are sheikhs like Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. They used to say, look, the reason behind siwak was to clean the mouth. Therefore, if your mouth is cleansed through brushing with toothpaste and toothbrush, then the maqsad has been complete. You don't need to do miswak. If you want to, you can. But the purpose is fulfilled. Now, this is highly problematic. Highly problematic. Why? Because you're going against the sunnah. What's the sunnah? Sunnah is the twig from the tree. It's not, the benefits of the miswak are not the same benefits of just brushing with your toothpaste. Yeah, you might have a nice minty taste, but the benefits of that on the long term is million times better than your toothpaste and toothbrush. All those that are using toothbrushes and toothpastes, like we do on a daily basis, the fluoride bacteria gets, it affects us on the long term. That's why you see our teeth, they fall out younger, at a younger age. Whereas our old sasas and dadas, they used to use, in Bangladesh, they used to use like ash, like sali. And they used to use the sali, they used to have their teeth until 100, 110, 120 for example. They used to have their teeth. They used to have their teeth and no problem. Because they never use this nonsense that are unnatural, that are full of chemicals. Okay? So this is also important to go back to our roots. Okay? Never to only start reasoning with the Sharia and start to say, oh, the purpose of cleaning the teeth is fulfilled by toothpaste and toothbrush. So therefore, toothpaste and toothbrush takes precedence over miswak. Astaghfirullah. This is going clearly contrary. The people that claim towards hadith, these are the people that claim towards sunnah. These are the people that are claiming that I am giving you hadith, brother. I am giving you the authentic hadith. Where is the authentic hadith? You're leaving out whole chapter of authentic hadith, of the highest caliber, not just any hadith. This is mutawatir hadith. It's not just sahih. This is sahih.com hadith. Every single one of them are sahih.com hadith. Astaghfirullah. So we must never ever think of this and never ever neglect any hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, a person who revives a sunnah at the time when that sunnah is completely dead. Let's say the turban of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We very clearly know from multiple hadiths, hundreds of hadiths, that Rasulullah used to wear turban. Sahaba used to wear turban. If a person revives this sunnah when now more or less it's a dead sunnah, yes, and he continuously makes that sunnah of wearing the turban all the time in order to revive it in his community, in his village, in his area, in his town, in his location, wherever he's doing da'wah, then inshallah he will get the reward of 100 martyrs. When he passes away, we will get the reward of 100 martyrs. Same thing with this miswak. Inshallah, if a person has this niyyah that he wants to spread the sunnah of miswak and continuously show others by example, then inshallah he'll get the reward of 100 martyrs. 100 martyrs, not one martyr, 100 martyrs. Anyone who revives the sunnah gets the reward of 100 martyrs. Imagine how great the reward is. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك عند كل صلاة رواه الجماعة. This hadith, here there is a slight ikhtilaf. Okay, here there is a slight ikhtilaf. On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if it was not difficult upon my ummah, then I would have commanded them to make miswak for every single salah, at the time of every single salah. This hadith is in Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. All 6 books. All 6 books of hadith, Sahih books. Or Sihah. Yeah? وفي رواية لأحمد, the narration that is in Ahmad states لأمرتهم بالسواك مع كل وضوء, that Rasulullah would have commanded to make miswak with every wudu. With every wudu. This is the clear narration in Musnad Imam Ahmad. وَلِلْبُخَارِيِّ تَعْلِيقًا لَأَمَرْتُهُمْ بِالسِّوَاكِ عِنْدَ كُلِّ وُضُوءٍ. And Imam Bukhari, he narrates it as ta'liq, mu'allaq. I said what mu'allaq is. Mu'allaq is when Imam Bukhari directly says, قَالَ قَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Or قَالَ Ibn Abbas. قَالَ Umar ibn al-Khattab. Like, قَالَ Umar, when did you see Umar? Where's your sanad? Any muhaddith will say that. Where's your sanad? You know? So this is considered as mu'allaq hadith, hanging hadith. Okay? Hanging hadith means when he directly says, Qala Mujahid, or Qala Hasan al-Basri. Like, Hasan al-Basri is where are you? Who are you narrating from? Your grandfather? Where is he? Where are you? So, this hadith is, Imam Bukhari, he narrated it as ta'liq in his Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay? And we said the conditions of mu'allaq hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari is not the same conditions as his Sahih al-Bukhari hadith is that he brings with the sanad. Okay? That's according to his criteria. This mu'allaq hadith is not according to his criteria. So therefore there might be some weaknesses here and there. It's in Bukhari. So when the chapter comes, after the chapter heading, he'll just say, Qala Mujahid. Like, just a random narration. Qala Mujahid kada wa kada wa kada.
So he's saying Mujahid, Mujahid, that's it,
straight, nothing else, yes. But there's nothing in between. This is called a mu'allaq hadith. This is very important. Maulana Zakaria Kandahlawi, he's written a whole book on tarajim, all the tarajim. And Ibn Hajar and many others, they discussed these mu'allaq hadiths, you know, because they wanted to find where the full isnad for these narrations that Imam Bukhari just brings out from anyway. You know, there's a lot of research on this. And majority of them are authentic. Majority of them are authentic. Just some of them that have slight weaknesses. They do have slight narrators which are differed upon. Some ulama they accept them, some ulama they don't accept them. But of course, Imam Bukhari is Imam Bukhari. He's only going to say, even in his ta'liq, he's only going to select certain reasons why he got. So, for example, there might be a mu'allaq hadith where Imam Bukhari he chooses that narration, but in that narration there's a narrator who, according to some, is authentic, according to him, in that specific narration. For example, someone's coming here, yeah? I'll give you the example, okay? In the coming chapter, there's a person that comes in the narration. So that person is, according to some, is authentic, is sahih. But according to others, he's not sahih. But the reasoning is, he lost his memory. So Imam Bukhari, he says, no, this hadith is sahih because this hadith is from this person, from this person. So therefore, this hadith was heard before he lost his memory. So a person can be weak, but because you need to see the reason why he's weak. If the reason is memory, then did he narrate before memory or did he narrate after memory? You understand? If he narrated before, then he's authentic. If he narrated after his memory loss, then he's unauthentic. It can't be authentic, isn't it? So you need to know what you're doing in hadith. That's why we go to the experts. That's why we listen to the experts. So in the Bukhari's ta'liq, he also mentions the same narration, but with every single, not at the time of every single salah, but at the time of every single wudu. Just like the Musnad of Imam Ahmad. So this is a dalil. So what's the difference? The difference is Imam Shafi'i says that a person, he must make miswak for salah. For salah. At the time of every salah, meaning literally before standing for Isha Salah. You'll see the Shafi'is. They start doing miswak just before Allahu Akbar. Just before the Takbir Tahlima. Whereas we say, this is contrary to understanding what the Sunnah is. As we'll see, how many narrations are against them. And this hadith is in Ahmad, this hadith is in Mu'allaq of Bukhari, yeah? That clarifies that, the other hadith, where at the time of every single salah, because at the time of every single salah cannot be taken literally because of the other ahadith that you find on the chapter. You can't just take one hadith and start jumping up and down. You have to take the whole chapter as a whole and then come up with a conclusion. That's what Imam Abu Hanifa does. You have to take the whole Sharia in totality. So here, as we'll see, وعنه, so عن Abu Hurairah again, أنه قال لولا أن يشق على أمته لأمرهم بالسواك مع كل وضوء. This hadith is in Muwatta and the isnad is Sahih. According to Imam Nawawi, he says this hadith is not marfu'. Marfu' meaning it's not raised to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Whereas Ibn Abdul Barr, he says no, this hadith is definitely marfu' from Imam Shafi'i, from Imam Malik to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It's definitely raised. It's definitely a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But because of the way it's said, I think that's why Imam Nawawi thought this hadith is maybe not raised to Rasulullah, meaning not reported from Rasulullah, rather maybe from a companion. Okay, because of the way it said, "Laula an yashukka ala ummatihi," that if it was not difficult upon his ummah, it seems like he's not saying it directly. He's saying some other Sahabi say, if it wasn't hard upon his ummah, you understand? Because of the he, okay, because of the third person, la amarahum, he would have ordered them. You see why Imam Nawawi said it's not a hadith that's raised to Rasulullah, whereas Ibn Abdul Barr, another earlier scholar, Ibn Abdul Barr is earlier than Imam Nawawi. Okay, he's in the 4th century, whereas Imam Nawawi is in the 6th century. That's why it's good to know the dates. It's good to know the dates. Imam Ibn Abdul Barr, he died like 460 something, whereas Imam Nawawi died 676, if I remember correctly. عن أمته لأمرهم بالسواك مع كل وضوء, that he would have ordered them to make siwak at every wudu time. Every wudu time. Yes. And this hadith is sahih in Muwatta Imam Malik. وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال السواك مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. This comes in a lot of the language books. You know the Arabic language books that you study first year. Subhanallah, Arabiya bayna yadayk, and then this hadith comes. As-siwak, Aisha radiallahu anha reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that the miswak is something which purifies the mouth, cleanses the mouth, makes the mouth smell good. Mardatun lirrabb, and it pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, can you say the same thing for toothbrush? They come up with their own idea. This is the problem with these people. They claim to be the mujtahids of the time. How could you come up with such understanding when it goes contrary to the hadith of Rasulullah? And these hadiths are in a Bukhari, a Muslim. These hadiths are not just any hadith. These hadiths are of the highest caliber. Muwatta Imam Malik. Muwatta Imam Malik is the most authentic book. Imam Shafi says it's the most authentic book under the sky after the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all the hadiths, nearly all the hadiths in Muwatta are absolutely sahih. Absolutely sahih. So as-siwak matharatun lil fam mardatun lil rabb. Rawahu Ahmad. This hadith is narrated in Imam Ahmad's Musnad, Sunan al-Nasa'i with a sahih isnad. Wal Bukhari ta'liqan. And Imam Bukhari gives this as ta'liq as well. Mu'allaq, as mu'allaq narration. And here Ibn Khuzaymah and Ibn Hibban also said this is sahih in their books. And Imam Shafi'i narrates it in his Musnad as well. Okay? So these are more additions to that narration. وعنها, on the authority of Aisha again, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك مع الوضوء عند كل صلاة. رواه ابن حبان في صحيحه وإسناده صحيح. Again, Ibn Hibban narrates very similar hadith from Aisha as well, that if it was not difficult upon my ummah, I would have commanded them to make siwak for every wudu, not for every salah. So the Hanafis here, what do they say? You must make siwak at the time of wudu, not at the time of beginning salah. Why? Because if a person makes siwak at the time of salah, just before salah, and he bleeds, his gums start bleeding, and he's able to taste the blood in his mouth, automatically his salah will be batil, according to the Hanafis, not according to the Shafis. Shafis, his salah will be valid, because blood is not a breaker of wudu unless it's excessive blood. Whereas the Hanafis, even a little blood comes that you can taste within your mouth. So we say according to us, it's the ghalaba. Ghalaba means that which overpowers. Yes, overpowers. So how do you know something, your saliva is overpowered or your blood overpowers? Oh, yeah, there you go. Taste. Taste is the only way you can know that your saliva is more or your blood is more. If the taste of the blood comes out, then automatically you know there's more blood than saliva. Okay? There's more blood than saliva. Subhanallah. Otherwise, your saliva is dominant. Okay? If you can't taste it, then really minor, your wudu cannot be broken. But if it does happen, then your salah will be broken. So if you do miswak just before salah, you have to be very careful that you don't harm your gums. If you do and you start bleeding, your salah will be invalid. You have to leave the salah and go and do wudu again until your blood stops, and then come back and join the imam. وعن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك مع كل وضوء. How many narrations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now, yeah? 5 narrations so far. And these are different books. All of these are different books. We have Imam Bukhari in his Mu'allaq twice already. And here Ali radiallahu anhu, here he says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, same hadith, yeah? That if it wasn't difficult upon my ummah, if it wasn't too difficult upon my ummah, I would have commanded them to make salah with every wudu. Wudu. Dalil of Hanafis. Yeah? Hanafi dalil. رواه الطبراني في الأوسط وقال الهيثمي إسناده حسن. Imam Tabarani, he narrates in Mu'jam al-Awsat. And Imam al-Haythami in his Majma' al-Zawaid, I spoke about Majma' al-Zawaid, yeah? He says this hadith is Hasan. This hadith is acceptable and sound. وعن المقدام بن شريح عن أبيه قال قلت لعائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها بأي شيء كان يبدأ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل بيته. Aisha was asked that when Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم used to enter the house, what's the first thing he used to do? What's the first thing he used to do when he used to enter the house? إذا دخل بيته قال بالسواك. He would make siwak before he enters the house. Why? Because he's going into the house, he's going to go and find his wife. He needs to be smelling good. If he has a stench in his mouth, his wife's automatically going to be, not encouraged to go next to him. So it's extremely important for the men folk to take lesson from this hadith and make sure our levels of hygiene are on point. Remember the hadith that I narrated in the Jumu'ah and everything, that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu used to say, I love to dress up for my wife just like I like her to dress up for me. Okay, so hygiene is extremely important. When it comes to a marriage that's been 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, we all become neglectful. We all become neglectful. And it causes extreme underlying damage in our marriage without us even knowing, without us even thinking about it. For example, trimming your hair. For example, your nails. Just general cleanliness, your pubic hair. You might think, it doesn't put her off, it's fine. But these simple things puts a person off really badly. Imagine if she didn't wax her feet or something, her legs. What are you going to think? You're going to start thinking I'm living with a beast or something, isn't it? That's what's going to happen. You're going to be, just like you are abhorred towards certain actions that if she doesn't keep herself up well, likewise she's abhorred towards you. She just won't say it because she's got that shyness. So a person must be extremely, especially as men, we become very lenient when it comes to these things. Okay, so cleanliness, showering every day, brushing your teeth before going next to her, perfuming yourself, okay, with perfumes that she likes, not just what you like, perfumes which she likes, because sometimes you have to give preference to her desires over your desires. You might like certain strong Atharus, strong perfumes, whereas she likes softer, perfumes where she doesn't get the headache or something, So you have to be careful when it comes to these things. Otherwise, you're going to destroy your marriage without even knowing why. Without even knowing why. A person, he goes to the gym, he comes back, he hasn't showered, he wants to sleep with his wife. Problematic. This is going to cause huge, colossal issues. Colossal issues. And when we neglect these things over time again and again, there comes a point where they say, look, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I can't live with this person anymore. This person smells, he doesn't take care of his health, doesn't take care of his hygiene, he puts his socks whenever he feels like. Women do this as well. Sometimes some women are worse. Some women are way worse than men. Okay? It happens both ways. Whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, hygiene is the first chapter. This is what we're going through. Hygiene is the first chapter of every single hadith book, of every single fiqh book. Our whole sharia is based on hygiene and purity and cleanliness. If a person cannot act upon these hadiths, then all the a'mal that he does with his cleanliness is batil. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, this is another thing. A person when he's very, very, very usuli, he thinks, he understands usul very much. He'll say, look, the reason why Rasulullah made initially it was fard. To make ghusl for Jumu'ah Salah, he made it obligatory upon the Sahaba. Why? Because of the stench. They used to wear wool. They used to wear sheepskin, wool. So when they used to sweat really, they used to stench really badly. Especially the villagers that used to come from all the way to Medina, okay, to town. According to them, that was town. And they used to live in the villages, in the deserts. So when they used to come, they used to start smelling because they were villagers. They were, the way we say, Rakhali. They used to be shepherds. The Ansaris, the Medinians. They used to be shepherds. So when they used to come, it's smelling. So here Rasulullah commanded them. Now a person might say the reasoning why was because of the stench. So therefore you don't need to make ghusl anymore. Isn't it? This is completely false understanding. No, sunnah is sunnah, bhai. Rasulullah said it, end of story. You don't question it anymore. Rasulullah done it all the time, Sahabas done it all the time. So a person cannot, just because of reasonings, illah, a person cannot become too usuli sometimes, okay? Hadith is hadith in its place, sunnah is sunnah in its place. That's why fuqaha have made these established sunan, okay? A person must not come to over-criticize something where he completely doesn't have the full scope of understanding. A person has to have a full scope of understanding in order to become a scholar. That's the first thing. That's the first shart of a scholar. So this is another hadith. The next hadith, عن حذيفة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قام من الليل يشوس فاه بالسواك رواه الجماعة إلا الترمذي. All the 6 books have narrated it except Imam Tirmidhi, this hadith on the authority of Hudhaifa, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he used to stand up for night time, the first thing he would do is shasa yashusu, refers to sharpening. Refers to sharpening his teeth. Here it refers to, of course, cleaning his teeth. Yeah. عن عامر بن ربيعة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما لا أحصي يتسوق وهو صائم. Subhanallah. This hadith is referring to a person who is fasting in the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make miswak during the time of fasting after zawal. After zawal is the last half of the day, isn't it? After dhuhr time enters. So after dhuhr time enters, even in the evening, in afternoon and evening, it is allowed to make siwak in the state of fasting, as long as a person doesn't overdo it. And then, even if a person tastes the taste of the miswak in his mouth, it's fine. His wudu, his fast isn't broken. Ulama clearly say his fast isn't broken. He shouldn't swallow it. Ideally, he should not swallow it. If anything goes down, his fasting is still valid. Okay? He should be careful, of course. He should be very careful. But his fasting won't break. That's the point. Okay? That the ulama very clearly mentioned. So, mala uhsi. I saw him so many times that I can't even count with my own fingers. Meaning I saw him regularly, so many times, regularly, that in the state of fasting, he used to use his miswak. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rawahu Ahmad, Imam Ahmad narrates this, wa Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, wa Hassanahu, wa fi isnadihi maqalun. And in this hadith, there is some controversial statements. Here, Ibn Hajar in his Talkhis, he states that this hadith, is it referring to this hadith? Yes, it's referring to this hadith. That this, in the sanad is Asim ibn Ubaidillah, who is weak. He is stated in the hadith. However, he stated that this hadith is Hasan when it is narrated from other than him. So maybe this hadith has other students that heard from that same companion. Okay, that narrates. It comes through different channels. So when it comes to different channels, although this one person, Asim ibn Ubaidillah, through his channel it is weak, through other channels it is authentic. That's why Imam Bukhari narrates it as ta'liqan as well. Okay, Imam Ibn Hajar says. So this hadith is in Ahmad, Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi, and Imam Tirmidhi says it is Hasan. قال النموي أكثر أحاديث باب سواك للصائم بعد الزوال ولم يثبت في كراهيته شيء. Like I said, Imam Nimawi, the author of this book, Allamah Nimawi, he says that majority of the hadiths regarding this fasting come after zawal. In the state of fasting, Rasulullah used to make the miswak even after the Dhuhr time enters, meaning this is in the afternoon, after noon. So a person can't say in the afternoon miswak is makruh. Miswak is makruh. Miswak is not makruh even in the afternoon. Okay, it is completely allowed. Walam yathbut, and there is nothing that is established from hadith literature that it is makruh to make miswak after midday. Here, inshallah, we'll end off with this last hadith. And now he's going to go through the Sunan. The Sunnah, so the first Sunnah of wudu is to make miswak. The second Sunnah now, he's going to say at the time of miswak, you say Bismillah to start off your wudu. So now we're going to go through Babu Tasmiyah in the wudu. Why? Because in the books of hadith, you're just going to say Basmala. So the Sunan of wudu are Siwak, Basmala, kada. It's just going to give you that's it. It's just going to point without any hadith. Here you find the hadith right in front of your eyes. So this hadith, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أبا هريرة إذا توضأت فقل بسم الله. O Abu Hurairah, when you make wudu, say Bismillah. Say Bismillah. Make sure to say, remember to say Bismillah walhamdulillah and Alhamdulillah as well. فَإِنَّ حَفَظَتَكَ, for your angels that are protecting you, Kiraman Katibin, your angels that are writing your good deeds and your bad deeds, لا تبرح تكتب لك الحسنات حتى تحدث من ذلك الوضوء. That they will continue. So the moment you say Bismillah and Alhamdulillah at the beginning of your wudu, they will continue to write for you good deeds. So your right angel is going to continue to write good deeds until you break that wudu. That's the benefit of saying Bismillah at the time of wudu. So even before, just as you start wudu, before you even completed your wudu, just because you said Bismillah walhamdulillah, you will be rewarded until all the way, as if you're doing ibadah, as if you're in worship, until you break your wudu, until you go to the toilet, until you release wind, until blood comes out, or until you vomit a mouthful and the rest of it. Okay? And this hadith is رواه الطبراني في الصغير, in his معجم الصغير. Imam Tabarani narrates this. وقال الهيثمي إسناده حسن. According to Imam Ibn Hajar al-Haythami in his Majma' al-Zawaid, he says this hadith is Hasan. Here, Imam al-Shawkani says it is in Mu'jam al-Awsat, whereas it is found in Mu'jam al-Saghir and Mu'jam al-Kabir. It is not found in Awsat. So even Imam Shawkani is wrong. He's a later scholar, and Salafis, they love this Imam Shawkani because he doesn't like to follow one madhab. Okay? But Imam Shawkani is wrong as well. He's a human, just like they say. Hum rijal wa nahnu rijal. How can we be rijal? We're not rijal. They were the mujtahideen of the ummah. Shawkani is clearly mistaken, although he's a scholar of hadith. He's a very reputable scholar in hadith, and his conclusions are quite strong, to say the truth. He's got a very strong depth in hadith. You can clearly say that. But then again, you can make mistakes. Mu'jamul, he said it's in Mu'jamul Awsat, whereas it's actually found in Mu'jamul Saghir and Mu'jamul Kabir of Tabarani. And this is a big mistake. Imagine you say it's in Tarikh al-Kabir of Imam Bukhari, but it's not in Tarikh al-Kabir. You search the whole Tarikh al-Kabir, it's not there. It's a big mistake. As a hadith scholar, it's a massive mistake. A normal person will not understand all, but it's found in some other book of Imam Bukhari. But as a hadith scholar means precision. The whole point of hadith is precision. If you make a mistake, you're going to be caught out, no matter who you are. Okay? We'll end there, inshallah. Any questions before we end? We'll continue from page 76 next week, inshallah. Any questions? Okay, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.